everybody. Welcome to one of my now somewhat rare live streams. The very last one I did got interrupted, and I think that the time I've chosen to do this one will avoid that problem. Today we are going to be mostly talking about my latest new series. Hi Daisy, thank you for joining. And we are going to, hi Naughty But Not Sorry, thank you for joining. And we are going to be talking about mainly this new series as well as just what will be coming out this year and what we have planned, what's coming out soon, and just a little bit of a catch up on what's going on in my book universe. So hello to everyone who's joining. I'm trying to wave to you so I can just keep talking and say hello that way, just so that I can be efficient and not lose my train of thought. So since this is my first video for 2023, even if it is almost the end of January, Happy New Year. Thank you for sticking around and reading some books. I hope that I have some really exciting stuff planned for you that we can all enjoy getting excited about together. So I just put out a new release this month, which came out January 17th, and that is the last book in my Long Island Mafia Romance series, Long Island Slayer. So we're going to get into a little more detail without spoilers on all three books, but for now, this is my newest release, my newest full-length release available, and you can get the ebook with the link in my bio. This is a very, very smutty, oh, thank you. Lucinda says you're very natural and beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So this book is available free in Kindle Unlimited. I think $3.99 for the ebook if you just want to buy it. And then we have the paperback and the hardcover. Now, I don't have an exact hardcover version, but I do have the hardcover edition of the first one. And so just to compare the first book so you can see, so the paperbacks will be glossy a little shorter, and the hardcovers are 5 by 8.5 inches, and they are matte, but with the same cover going on. So that's that. And the next short book, so I'm going to talk about the next short book I have and the next long book that I have coming out. The next short book is Conan, Aquarius King. We are adding more to the Zodiac Romance series. This is the part where if I could, I would put some special effects. First one of the year is going to be an AMBW romance. It is going to be a stalker romance. Conan's book is going to have everything. Trapped in a snowstorm, an older woman in her 40s. A lot of people have been asking for a caramel-skinned female main character, so we're going to have that. A plus-size female main character. I am truly trying to answer everyone's requests in this book and put together a really good story. I've wanted to do an AMBW romance for a while, and also it kind of fit in this dark small town series really well. And so Aquarius King is coming out February 14th on Valentine's Day. So if you want to spend your Valentine's Day reading a dark AMBW small town romance with a plus-size female lead, that sounds like a good Valentine's Day to me. You can pre-order the book. Again, all the links to everything are in my bio, and I try to organize it in chronological order, so everything I say, you can see it near the top of the page. So that is the next short book that I have coming out. And then the next long book is what? My new series. So my new series begins March 1st, 2023 with Mafia Playmate. This is a Boston Irish mob romance, and I will get into a little more of the details later in the video, but just to introduce it to you, Mafia Playmate is the first one. A man receives a box with a human woman inside of it, and the plot kind of begins from there. He is in the Irish mob. I don't want to reveal too much about her because that will give away a lot of the story. But that new series has 5 books in it. We're talking about a big Irish family. This book is going to have Boston vibes. So Lucinda asks, are you biracial or Latina? I am biracial, not Latina, although did spend, one of my parents, my mom, is from the West Indies, from St. Lucia. So I'm sorry, every time I answer something, I get a little distracted, but I'm here, I'm with you. Thank you so much. So the current 99-cent discount, that's what I wanted to get to, is Father by Choice. I will say this is one of my least popular discounted books. I do kind of know why, but I also, sometimes people want to read things, sometimes they don't. This is an older book. Probably a lot of people have read it, and it doesn't have a lot of trending parts to it going on right now. It's an enemies to lovers, it's a romantic comedy. It's basically not extremely hot. So I know that there's a lot of things that maybe are not trending right now, but it is 99 cents. It's got a swirl couple. It has a little political banter going forth because it's kind of both characters work in politics. And I think if you guys have been into my other 99-cent books, the price will be going up in 4 days. So grab that one and you can read it whenever. And that one does have an audiobook version. So if you get the ebook, the audiobook will be very cheap for the 99-cent discount. And that's not true for all of the books. So that book is Father by Choice, is the 99-cent discounted one. And that is also linked in my bio. So again, I'm just rolling through all my intro updates, and then we're going to get into some of the details on certain things that I talked about. But what has been going on? Patreon this week, I put up a new ARC for a heavily edited and updated book that I'm going to be sort of releasing the updates in a few days and announcing them. So the patrons got the advanced copies of that. I finished up Powerless 2. So if you like a lot of chapters in your serials, Powerless 2 is my bwwm bully romance serial. In the entire serial universe, it is the 13th season. It's over 100k words long, and the entire thing is complete on Patreon. If you like to binge read that sort of stuff, if you sign up now, you can basically read the first 2 seasons completely without waiting, and I know some people prefer that, so it's a great time to join the Patreon. But this week there have been a couple days off because I'm trying to figure out what is the best thing to share on each day. Today I shared a chapter of Conan, Aquarius King, and tomorrow there's going to be another chapter of Conan live at 6:15 a.m. on Patreon. Something else very exciting that I have coming to Patreon is I've commissioned an illustration, and that illustration will be a Patreon exclusive release. So I don't want to spoil too much about that because I also don't know when the launch date is, but sometime as we're getting into the thick of book 1 on Patreon, we are going to get artist's rendition of my vision of the characters exclusively on Patreon. So again, if you're into that sort of thing, it's a good time to sign up there so you can get all the tea, the good illustrations, the sex scenes, the comments, the interactions. It's definitely the place where I put the most of my effort. And currently I haven't lost any patrons. I don't want to jinx it, but I finally hit 100 patrons. So thank you if you are a member of my Patreon page and joined. This is a huge milestone for me and I really appreciate it. I don't want to over celebrate because, you know, you gain people, you lose people, but I do appreciate every single person who has subscribed for even 1 month. We have a lot of fun back there and I really enjoy putting in that extra effort to create a behind the scenes space for you guys. So let me get a little into the meat of things today. I said that I mostly wanted to talk about my just finished series since the last book came out this month. And because the covers are black, they are very reflecty. So they are kind of hard to show up with all the lights on. So if that's a little shiny and blinding, I'm sorry. So I'm going to try to, no spoilers, explain what each book is about. And you can get all of the books right now free in Kindle Unlimited because the series is complete. And if I do say so myself, they make a good binge read because you do not have to wait. There is kind of like a happily ever after plus cliffhanger at the end of the first 2. And then book 3 wraps everything up really nice and neat. So if you don't like to wait for those cliffhangers, now is a great time to start. So here we have Long Island Executioner, which is very shiny and reflective, and this is the first book in the series. So one of the things I've done with these books is I've tried to design them a little bit. So we have these pretty chapter cover pages and they're 5x8s. They fit really easily in pretty much any bag that I have. So I really like doing the small paperbacks for that reason. And this book is a secret baby romance, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I think that this one made it spicy. So this is Lucky Vicari's story with Althea, And this one, I did kind of intend it. I suppose she's somewhere between average and plus size, maybe a little plus size in how I saw her in my head. Sometimes people don't really like see that what I'm saying when I try to describe a character as curvy, unless I'm really obvious about it. But this one, I would say she was close to being plus size, if not plus size in my head. Althea is a hairdresser. Lucky is in the mob. They have a spicy encounter, and then 10 years later, they have a reunion. So in that sense, it's kind of a second chance romance too. Lucky wants a second chance at family, and Althea wants him to get the hell away from her and her child at first. Now, like with all of my mafia characters, he does have ways and means of convincing her. So this book starts off very, very hot. Things get progressively spicier throughout the book, and then we do have an HEA, even if there is a lot of drama to get there. This book is about the middle brother, I want to say, or the second brother. So the first two books are about brothers, and the third book is about their cousin. So this is Lucky Vicari's book, and I can't say anything more about this without spoiling it, actually. So let us just move on to book 2. And all of the books, by the way, are dark. And so what that means is there's going to be controversy, taboo topics, questionable morals, gray heroes, alpha males, murder, all these bad negative things that we may say we don't like it in real life, but we like it in the romance world. And so you're going to find a lot of these dark, smutty moments in all of the books in this series. The second one in the series is, thank you, Calanthe. Please correct me if I pronounced that wrong. It turns out when I see a username, my brain just goes blank, and I try to read it out loud, and it usually sounds wrong to me. So in Long Island Butcher, we have Alexis and John. John is the older brother. John is older than Lucky. I do remember that much. And in this story, John finds a college student in an alley who has just experienced something traumatic. Bye, Kira the Great. Thank you for coming. And yes, murder, smirk. I love that. Doing it for the fam says, love your books and you. Thank you very much. So after meeting Alexis in an alley, John she witnesses something she should not see, and John decides to take her from the streets, and he finds a very interesting way to bond them together for life. So this book is definitely very sexy. It's an age gap romance light. I think it's light on the age gappy elements, but there is, as you can see, a bit of a baby plot going on. I don't think the baby thing really takes away from the experience of the book. It's not like the main focus the way it was in Long Island Executioner. I would say a lot of this is about the psychological relationship between Alexis and John. So I really like this book because of, I do love my age gap romances. I also really liked the way Alexis was able to get into John's head and make him less of a grouch. So this is definitely a bit of a grumpy older man, fun, exciting younger woman. Again, it's a bwwm romance like all of the others, Long Island Italians. John is, I think it's hard. I always try to pick a favorite and I can't. But I loved a few things about John. I loved John's apartments. I loved how he was so different from Lucky in what he valued in life. And I also loved the way he interacted with Alexis, and all of their sex scenes together, in my opinion, were a lot of fun. So again, can't do too many spoilers, but that's the general idea of this book. It's got a little bit of age gap, a little bit of fake relationship going on, and definitely some grumpy sunshine elements in it too. And now to the third book, which basically just came out. So this book is Long Island Slayer, and this is about Cousin Sammy. This is another age gap romance. This one is definitely a more problematic. So the other one I said was like a soft age gap. This is like it's an age gap. Age gap romance. I know I keep saying I'm going to stop doing age gap romances, and I'm on my way. I'm slowly weaning myself off of the age gaps. This one I loved though, because I feel like I finally got it right with the female main character in the age gap romance coming off as more in charge of her life, let's just say. So I feel like Melanie could stand on her own 2 feet. She was rough around the edges, which I liked because I felt like that made her a good fit for Sammy. She could handle him. And again, Sammy is similar to Stavros in that the mafia life has gotten to him and his mental health. We have a therapist in this book. We have a younger woman, older man. We have a lot of murder. We have a lot of death, murder, killing, violence in this book. We have a lot of gritty love scenes pertaining to that violence. And overall, we have a nice bow on the end of the series that hopefully wraps everything up for most of the characters. And also, I tease characters in Mafia Playmate in this book. So pay close attention toward the end of this book because you may see more people who are going to be in the next series. So Sammy is not currently going to be in the next series, at least not the first 2 books, but towards the end of his story, he does basically have an interaction with a man who will be in the next series. So if you're interested in that and getting the little Easter eggs, that will be in the end of this book. So that was everything in my latest series. So we have all 3 available now. You can get all 3 as a paperback, hardcover, ebook, and currently not on audiobook. But for now, I think we have plenty of versions for you to get through for the time being. So I'm going to quickly talk about what's coming next, which is the Boston Irish Mob Romance. I do have a blog release date later this month, so around halfway through the month, the first chapter of my next book, Mafia Playmate, will be live on the blog. Before that point in time, it's already up on Patreon. So if you are desperate to get the early chapters, the place to get them will be Patreon. So I highly recommend checking that out if you really want to know what happens in Mafia Playmate and maybe solve that problem of who Sammy talks to. That's going to be in the next book. So I also have the book up for pre-order. The entire series is available for pre-order. There are a few amazing readers who have already messaged me and commented that they pre-ordered the entire series, and that trust in me honestly keeps me going. So if you want to put 1 coin in the trust box by pre-ordering the books, I would really appreciate that because I guarantee you that they are going to be a lot of fun. Every time I sit down and write a book, I genuinely think, how can I make this one even better than the one before? And I try to do at least one thing to make them better. In this series, I think having 5 books to explore the characters, dynamics, and relationships will make a huge difference. And this series, I'm also working with my illustrator to create these beautiful paintings of the different characters to share with people on Patreon, and hopefully eventually I'll be able to share it with everyone. But for now, creating more Patreon content with that, I'm also making these books in the 70K range. So this series is a little bit shorter. It's kind of like 65 to 70K for each book, but the next one is going to be a little bit longer, and I'm going into certain details. I'm trying so hard not to spoil it, but to hype it up. So hopefully this makes sense. Trying to go give certain details and get really deep into certain parts of the book that I haven't really touched before. So I think this will be a really exciting experience, and the book will have some different elements to it that you'll really like. And I do think that the Boston Irish turn is going to be a lot of fun, even if we typically think of the mob romances like Italian mafia. I do remember when I was much younger watching Boondock Saints and The Departed and those types of movies and getting a Boston vibe to our mob world. So if you are interested in that, that's kind of what I'm going for. The Boston Irish brothers, there's a lot of big reveals I could do about them, but I want to save it for you to get into the book. When I say these are going to be some serious alpha holes, I mean it. And I think that there's going to be a lot more controversy and banter between them when it comes to the interracial romance element of things because of certain, let's say, truths about the family that's going to be in the series. So basically, everyone who has been mad about my books before is going to become 10 times more upset. And everyone who's been liking how things are going, you guys are going to love this series. And we're going to see some pretty good redemption arcs and some serious bad boys, some effed up situations, the murder, the violence, the kidnappings. It's going to have everything. Plus, of course, the warm and fuzzy romance where we fall for the bad boy and everything works out and he's got lots of tattoos and he's very sexy and we love him even if he does crimes. So we are going to have all of that in the next series. I'm so excited, and I think that based on the little response I've seen from my patrons, they don't like to gas me up too soon. They want to wait to get a couple chapters. And I feel that, but I feel like the response from the first chapter is like, okay, hit us with the next one. What is going to come in the next chapter? Please tell us now. And the only reason I haven't told them yet is because I want to edit it a little bit. But it's that kind of book where from chapter 1, you're going to be wondering what is going on next. So now I'm moving through my updates, hopefully not too quickly, but the next thing I wanted to talk about was Patreon. So before I do that, I will ask this question. What did I do before I became a writer? I have always been a writer since I graduated college, and I do not have any children, and that is probably very obvious sometimes to readers when I write about children in books, but I do have nieces and nephews and little cousins and people like that. It's very different from being a parent, but I do try to interact with children because I like children, and I think they are, fun to have around. Maybe one day I'll have some, but I don't currently. So on Patreon for Powerless Season 3, I have not picked a launch date, but the launch date will most likely be sometime in February. At the end of February, in the February range. It's not going to be this month. I need some time to get the next season together. I am still debating whether to end Powerless at season 3 because the Powerless seasons have been so long, and because I have a really specific arc I want to take Clover and Thomas's story, which may require me sacrificing some seasons. I do want to think about it though, and so I can't say whether there will be 3 seasons or 4 seasons, but what I can say is the seasons will come in February, starting late February. Then I have another thing that I was going to announce that I actually now have to both announce and unannounce within the same video because I am, as usual, going through it as an indie author. I was going to take the Greek Mafia Brotherhood series, which is somewhere behind me, just a quick refresher, this series, Purchase for Submission and the others, and take them off Kindle Unlimited so readers can get them on like Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Google Play, Smashwords, but I've run into a conundrum where my title and content are too spicy and they don't want my books. So I of course, if you read this series specifically, there's a lot of what I might call light clickbait in the title. Like, I would say that Stavros does not actually buy her as a sex slave. He does want to free her, and that is why he buys her. However, the reason that she's being sold is for submission. So it's assumed that she's purchased for that reason, but that is not why. Stavros has a different different ideas in mind. So, my titles and what it seems like the book is going to be are very shocking. And then what's actually in the book is spicy and delicious, but it's not, illegal. So I am running into some issues with that. So I think what makes the most sense is for the books to go back into Kindle Unlimited, because if I have to run into issues with the content and explaining the entire 70K word book instead of the content reviewers reviewing the content, then that doesn't really seem like it makes a lot of sense. So back into Kindle Unlimited the books go, but they're still all going to get a fresh update, fresh discrete hardcovers, fresh paperbacks that are going to be a little smaller, and it would be easy to retitle, except that the title is why people buy the book. So I don't really... I'm going to just leave them in Kindle Unlimited for the time being. And if readers for some reason don't use Amazon and they're really upset about the books being there, then maybe I do occasionally do these ARCs and promotions and different things like that. So there will probably be promotions for all of them that will hopefully allow the non-Amazon people to get to them, because right now it's just kind of creating a mini crisis in my mind, because I've been working hard on the updates and new covers and everything like that. So I do want to re-release everything officially, and there will be more info on that. This is kind of the pre-announcement that everything will be updated basically early February in this entire series. So the thing is, if you already bought the books and you're like, but why are you updating now? You can actually just like update your copy within Amazon. This is the part where I slow down because I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes sense. So there's this part of Amazon where you can manage content and devices, and then you can update books. I do this a lot with certain indie authors when they update older books, and then you'll get all the new stuff in the book without having to pay for it again. So when I do the update, I'm going to try to take like screenshots to explain so that people can update the books. It does sometimes update automatically, which would be amazing. So if you just connect your device to the internet, when I do the updates, that should work out great. Otherwise, I will let you know. So those are the main announcements for 2023. After the Mafia Romance series, there will be one more trilogy, and that will be the whole year. But I don't want to announce that right now because it's too far in the future. And we're going to focus on the near future, which is what's coming out next. Conan, Aquarius King on Valentine's Day, very easy to remember for me and everyone else, hopefully. And then Mafia Playmate on March 1st. Mafia Property on April 20th, Mafia Housemaid in June, I think June 1st, and then from there, my memory short circuits, and I have to look at my calendar. But that is when the next 3 books in that series are coming out. First releases and all the chapter previews and the exclusive illustration, that's going to be on Patreon. The Facebook group, I'm going to keep this active with quotes, different polls, different things like that. If you are part of the Facebook group, post some eye candy. If you see some hot guys on the internet, that is what I would love to see in the Facebook group. I will also be posting more on Instagram, and you can always interact with the stories, DM me, comment, whatever. I will try to respond to it. I'm sometimes not great, and I just hit the like button because I'm like, okay, I want them to know I see you. My mind is in Mafia Playmate, but I see you. So hopefully that works out for everyone. And before I go, my last thing will be hardcovers. Do we like them according to sales? Not really. But I do like how they look. They do last for a long time. And I do remember that some reader recently commented on Instagram, see, I do pay attention, that they wanted these books in hardcover. And so these books will be coming in hardcover, and the hardcovers will be different. In fact, the whole paperback is getting reformatted. So don't buy a paperback right now. I will let you know when it's time to buy them, and you can get the updated version, which will be very similar to the Forced to Surrogate series. I kind of already spoiled it on here. So if you scroll through my reels, there's a little mini spoiler, but the full-blown spoiler will be an official announcement that everything is updated and ready for you. So this is what I have for my video today. Sorry, it's live. So like I said, I do lose my mind. Thank you. Loved that book. Oh boy, now I'm like, where to separate the words. I'm saying Nash or Theor Nash, but thank you for saying love the book. Again, me pronouncing usernames, it's a bad time. If you're interested, now is a great time to subscribe to Patreon and check out the new stuff. There's going to be an ARC in the next couple days. So if you're looking for a free book, there's that recommendation. There's a Linktree in my bio and Instagram where you can get all of the books and see everything organized in one page. And I like that because every time I clicked on someone else's Linktree, I was like, wow, this is extremely convenient. I should have this for my readers. And so I made one. You can also go to my website right now to read things for free. I have been kind of working on bits and pieces back there. So we have the latest free chapter is from the new book, Long Island Slayer. So if you're not sure and you're like, I want to read the entire first chapter for free, JamilaJasperRomance.com/blog. And there's a free first chapters for pretty much every full-length novel I've put out in the past 2 years. And I kind of just like scrolling through and just reading the different chapters and giving them a chance. And see, I even go back and look at some of the old books, like what was I doing in 2020? And so if you're interested in these free chapters, that's what I have up there. And so my next video, my final announcement there, will be in a month. I think a month schedule is slightly more realistic for me right now, since I have no time for pretty much anything other than the writing that I'm doing. I'm close to the end of Mafia Playmate. There's so many edits coming in with that. There's Aquarius King, there's the Powerless 3 that I'm working on, and then of course I'm just doing the edits and updates for an entire trilogy. So I'm in one of those headspaces where I'm not anywhere but in the books, and then I come out of the books to breathe every once in a while. I am in a cave of writing, which hopefully you will benefit from when I publish some hopefully great books this year. So if you have come and sat through this entire video or even watched 30 seconds of it, thank you so much. This is basically the end. Please leave a comment if you have any questions at the end. You want to just like have a little discussion in the comments, ask about any part of the video. If you're watching it later, now, whenever, feel free to do that. I'll try and come through and answer everything when I get the chance. Also, if there's anything else that you want to tell me that you'd rather DM me that you want me to address in next month's video, you can also do that. And any questions about books, products, that type of stuff, I'm going to answer soon. Thank you, Lucinda. I really appreciate that. That's so kind of you. Your messages are giving me life. So everyone, I hope you have a good night. I'm going to finish this hazelnut decaf, which I let get cold, and drink some water because I've not talked on video in a while. I will announce the next video soon. It's going to be up on Instagram. Again, thank you for watching and have a wonderful evening. I will be back to talk books with you next month. Bye.
She be calling on a Monday, wanna meet on Tuesday, asking me to fix me up real nice. She can wait until the weekend, she wants off the deep end, telling me to bring the stuff I like. I don't wanna let her down, so